Alongside Brent Hubbs, I'm Austin Price for the 2 Minute Drill on this Monday. Just heard from Jeremy Pruitt, who, Brent, still plans on playing both quarterbacks this week, as we'll give both a look. And I'm interested to see how that goes if one of them, and I expect Harrison to start, if Harrison were to start the game really good again. I just, in talking to some people, I didn't get the feeling that they would just force JT in if Harrison had a flow.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. A lot of people wondered, why would you make the change last week when Harrison Bailey's 7 for 7 and rolling? The fact of the matter is they had planned on putting JT Shroud in at that moment in the game, regardless of score, regardless of how Harrison Bailey was playing. This is a different matchup. This is a different game. They were going to beat Vanderbilt last week. This is you're trying to upset somebody. So if you've got a quarterback in rhythm and you've got an offense in a rhythm, then I don't think you're going to mess with that rhythm. Much the same way in the second half, and this doesn't get talked about in the Vanderbilt game. If you're going off rhythm, you should have started JT Shrout in the second half because he finished the first half playing pretty well. But the plan was to go back to Harrison Bailey to start the second half. I don't think things are going to be as set in stone this week, but it does sound like both of them will play.
Coach Pruitt clearly impressed with the A&M football team, a team that is right on the verge of making the playoffs and should be as motivated of a team as there is in college football this week.
No doubt. And I think the biggest concern, if you're Jeremy Pruitt, that you have is that the fact that A&M is so physical. It's been a while since Tennessee has played what I would consider a really physical football team. I don't think Auburn's the most physical team in the country. Look at the ground, the yards they're giving up on the ground. Certainly Vanderbilt's not. And Florida's not the most physical team. They can't run the football effectively. This is an A&M team that's big on the offensive line, and they just want to wear you out over 4 quarters. They're a little bit more methodical than some other teams in the SEC. I think that's the matchup issue that Tennessee has here. It starts there. Can they stop that ground game and keep from just getting pummeled over a 60-minute stretch? They've been good against the run, but they haven't been good against they haven't played great running teams, is what I should say, the last couple of weeks. So we'll see.
Jalen Hyatt has had a really good freshman year, but Coach Pruitt impressed with several of those young kids this past week against Vanderbilt.
Well, this was kind of like, for those guys, it was kind of like the second or third scrimmage of the preseason for them. It was their first real opportunity to get a chance to do some things. And they've been playing a good number of freshmen, and he ran through a bunch of those. But I think for a guy like D. Beckwith, for Key Lawrence, and some of those guys to get some quality snaps on defense, not just special teams, I think it was important for them. It was interesting. He kind of went out of his way a little bit to point out how much he liked what Jabari Small has done. And maybe he's a bigger factor in the run game for Tennessee this week because of how physical he has played. He might take some reps. Now, Eric Gray should be healthy. They've not wore him out the last couple of weeks, so we'll see how Tennessee manages this game and how they can move the ball against A&M.
Finally, Tennessee Senior Day. Going to be interested to see how many kids actually go through it because obviously, kids have the option to come back.
Yeah, and it's interesting because a couple of weeks ago it was, well, they're all coming back, right? It's kind of the notion that was coming from Coach Pruitt and the coaching staff and the program. And then, well, now we don't know about some of them. Some of them aren't going to come back. Some will go through Senior Day festivities. Some will not. We'll have to see. Nobody ever believed all of the seniors were coming back, certainly. But it will be interesting to see who elects to go through it and who doesn't, and how Tennessee does a Senior Day this year. What does it look like with no fans in the stands? What kind of Senior Day activities do they have? And again, who elects to go through it? Because I think there's some kids on this team who are flip-flopping right now in terms of whether they want to come back for another year or they're not going to come back for an extra year.
He's Brent Hubbs. I'm Austin Price. This has been the 2 Minute Drill on Monday.